Once upon a time, there was a grand palace in the heart of the city that had been abandoned for decades. It was said that the palace was cursed, and anyone who dared to enter would be doomed to suffer an unspeakable fate. Despite these warnings, a wealthy art collector named Richard decided to buy the palace to showcase his collection of rare paintings. "I know the stories, but I'm not superstitious," Richard said confidently as he signed the contract to purchase the palace. "This will be the perfect place to display my paintings." Richard spent months renovating the palace and converting it into a museum. The grand hall was adorned with intricate chandeliers, and the walls were lined with Richard's most prized paintings. However, there was one painting that caught everyone's attention. It was a portrait of a beautiful woman with long, flowing hair and piercing green eyes. The painting seemed to come alive in the dimly lit corridor, and visitors couldn't help but feel as though the woman was watching them. "I don't know what it is about that painting," one visitor commented to Richard. "It's like she's looking right at me." Richard chuckled. "It's just a painting. But I must admit, she is quite captivating." One night, Richard decided to spend the night in the palace to oversee the security measures. "I want to make sure everything is in order," he explained to his assistant. "I'll be staying here tonight." As he was walking down the corridor towards his bedroom, he noticed something strange. The painting of the woman had moved from its original place and was now facing him. Richard tried to brush it off as his imagination, but he couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. "What the?" Richard muttered, startled by the sight. He decided to move the painting back to its original spot and continued to his bedroom. But as soon as Richard closed his eyes, he heard a soft whisper coming from the corridor. It was the voice of a woman, and it was getting louder with each passing second. "Richard," the voice whispered. "Follow me." Richard's heart raced as he slowly made his way down the corridor. Suddenly, he felt a cold hand touching his shoulder, and he quickly turned around to find the woman from the painting standing in front of him. What's happening?" Richard stammered, unable to believe what he was seeing. She had come alive and was standing in front of him, beckoning him to follow her down the corridor. Richard tried to scream, but his voice was trapped in his throat. "Follow me," the woman repeated. He followed the woman, and the corridor seemed to stretch on forever, never-ending and dark. Finally, they reached a door, and the woman pointed to it. Richard opened the door, and he saw a room full of human statues, each one with a painting beside them. "Oh my God," Richard gasped, horrified by what he saw. He tried to run, but the woman had disappeared, and the door had locked behind him. Despite extensive searches, Richard was never found, and his fate remains a mystery to this day. The painting of the woman still hangs in the grand hall, and some visitors claim that her eyes follow them as they walk past. The palace remains abandoned and cursed, with no one daring to enter its walls.